Warning. Enjoy. What is up, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Epic Question Podcast. I am very excited about this. We're going to work out a series of kinks. I know there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but I'm very excited to see what we can kind of make of this. So thank you so much for being here. Very excited. Lots to talk about. Lots and lots to talk about. Give me just a second to get a few things squared away. What is going on? Joel, Snow, K-Man, everyone that swung on through here on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Now, doing this live may not be the best idea, right? May not be the smartest move, and that's okay. Sometimes we don't make big brain moves, and that happens, right? That happens. I'll try to play some music in the background, but this is a big deal to me, a very big deal to me. I don't know. I've kind of touched on this story a little bit. People have asked about the channel and stuff like that, and how originally when we were becoming a YouTube channel, the original idea was to be a podcast, was to work toward potentially getting on terrestrial radio, which is real radio, and to do like videos like Good Mythical Morning and stuff like that. That was the original idea. But we didn't do that, right? We ended up doing games and stuff like that. So kind of coming full circle. So we're going to see how the live stream side of this works, if we should do this live going forward, or if we should transition, record this, and then edit, and then make available as a podcast. So this is a test run. We'll see how it goes. I like live. I like the vibe of it. I like the feel of it. But we'll see how it all shakes out. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on very quickly that I thought was pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard me say this. I think I've said it many times. But I know that I have a tendency in my own personal life, just to kind of give you a little peek behind the curtain when it comes to me. I have a tendency to self-diagnose when it comes to medical issues or pretty much anything. I consider myself a pretty intelligent guy. I'm going to pat myself on the back. But there are instances and times where I've been way off base, and I'm still working on trying to do gooder at that, to being a better person and not being so quick to assume I know something that I probably need to do some research on. So this is a bit personal. If you guys notice the title, the Deviated Penis episode, there's a reason I titled it that way. So I'm going to touch on this story real quick, and I kind of want to get your guys' take on it if you want to pontificate with me. But for the longest time, I've been complaining that I have a deviated penis. Eventually, after 2 years of telling people this, talking about it on the stream, jokingly, but, unconsciously, I'm like, yeah, this is real. I Googled it. That is not what I thought it was. It doesn't even actually exist. The closest thing I found to a deviated penis is what is called, what is it? Where's the actual medical term? Peyronie's disease, which is the bet one. That is not my issue. I have issues peeing with multiple streams. But that's a whole other thing. I don't even know why you're asking me all these questions. Why you're like, oh, please tell us more about this. I'm like, guys, listen, that's not my style. Now, I have theories as to how this has come about. But basically, when I go to use the restroom, it's anarchy. There are times where it like splits, where I'm going left and I'm going right. Sometimes I'm just going right. Sometimes I'm just going left. It goes up, it goes down. It's like the stream is chaos. You never know what's going to happen. It's a gamble. It's intense. It's very intense. But I'm working through it. I have theories as to how it was caused because I didn't always have this problem. No. I'm going to stop saying I have a deviated penis because I think most people, when they hear that, they assume bent or something kooky. Anyways, that was just a little tangent as I wanted to touch on, but I'm very excited about this. We're going to have some of you guys join us today throughout this podcast, kind of touching on a few different topics. Our man on the street, Jolie Foch, will be joining us here in just a bit. He's going to give us some news and some important information, answer some questions for us. with some of his fine reporting. You know, the one thing we all know Joe for is his fine reporting. And I'm very excited and eager to touch on some of that stuff. So, as we kind of go through this, you know, I had a bunch of different topics and things kind of outlined that I wanted to talk about and touch on. Some stuff may be of interest to you. Some stuff may not be of any interest to you. I didn't want the format visually to look like it did when I was playing games and stuff like that. But I want to get the other side of my office set up, and I want to get a few things configured because I'm still struggling with how I'm going to transition this audio stuff into the RSS feeds to get in the various places, because I'm a little perturbed as to how Spotify did me dirty. So many moons ago, as I indicated, when this YouTube channel started, it was originally going to be a podcast or terrestrial radio or something along those lines. So when that happened, I created the username, The Epic Question, on Spotify and various other platforms back in 2013. However, when I got back into Spotify, the name was taken. Not by me. I couldn't log into it. Didn't exist. My account never existed. So I had to recreate it. And now the URL is like Spotify.com Spotify/podcasters/ epic-eric. It's going to be something along those lines. I'll get the link for everybody for those that want to hear this podcast or a podcast or any podcast outside of this particular platform. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I'm also going to add it to the YouTube's podcast playlists as well. So we'll see how that shakes out. Now, the good news is you can edit videos that are already uploaded to YouTube. We can go in there and I can cut off that big intro. I can cut out certain sections. It's slow. It's very slow in comparison to your own personal editing, because once you make an edit, you have to render it, and then that could take days potentially, then come back and then do the same thing again. For those, again, because we're working out the kinks, and I haven't listened to this yet, the music that's playing in the background, is that distracting for you guys? Can someone give me some feedback on that? That's listening to this or watching the YouTube video. If someone can give me some feedback and let me know. If the music is too loud and distracting, I wanted just some ambiance in the background. So I would love to know what you guys think. Excuse me one second. While I'm waiting for you guys to hit me back on that, there's a bunch of different things, as I said, that I wanted to kind of touch on. But very quick, I asked you guys earlier, you hear no music at all? Okay. Let me check it on my end. I didn't even think about pulling this up on my side. What you guys think? Excuse me one second. Okay, it's just very quiet. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So that helps, Joel. Appreciate you. That works for me, my man. That works for me. I don't want dead air. So, one of the things I asked you guys, I requested that you throw out some questions that needed answers. You know, I think my exact ask was, you know, give me some hard-hitting questions, as serious as possible. I want to, you know, go through and from our audience, for those who haven't listened to the Epic Question before or watched our videos, you know, we have a pretty thoughtful audience and community, and I asked them, you know, what are some questions that in life, just in general, you want answers to? Things that are important to you that you want answers to. So we're going to touch on those questions real quick. And I appreciate, looks like we had quite a few submissions in various areas. So let's take a look here and see what we got. Okay. So this one is from Jaquavius. He says, metaphorically, I pushed you into a meat grinder, but the meat grinder was very small. How long do you think it would take to be completely grinded? First and foremost, let me say, Jaquavius, this doesn't sound like a serious question. I'm a little hurt that you didn't take my request seriously, but that's okay. I forgive you. You know, I think if you were pushed into a meat grinder, if you're saying by pushing you, you're referring to me. You know, I have a great body, more shredded than a julienne salad. And if we're talking about a small meat grinder, I guess it depends what part of my body enters the meat grinder first. Because if it's like a butt cheek, I can probably pull away from that and prevent myself from being sucked into the machine. I don't know what part of my body you would need in order to yank me into a very small meat grinder. So if I didn't fight back and the meat grinder was strong enough to continuously pull and grind, I would say several hours. I would say almost a full 24 hours to get that body all the way pulled through. I mean, this has to be a very strong meat grinder. But I hope that answers your question, and hopefully there's some benefit. Ooh, Snow Fox. Here we go. We got a question from Snow Fox. She always has the most thoughtful questions, some of the best commentary I've seen in the chat, and I know she won't let me down. She posted a question. Snow Fox says, why is Gamora? Wow. I've been hoodwinked. That's not a serious question. I don't know how to answer it. All I know is Drax may be the person you need to reach out to. Wow. What a letdown. You guys just... I am shocked. Shocked! No, you bunch of goofballs. No, but we have a couple of questions. Okay, so Deathbat also posted some questions here. And I want you guys to think about this as well. I'm very curious what your thoughts are. If chairs were banned in all states except Florida, where would you be right now? That's a great question, because this brings us to one of the most important topics I think I've ever personally touched on. It was Snow. I'm being silly. It was. I'm just giving everybody a hard time. That's my setup. That was my setup to, Anyways, so again, Deathbed asked us, if chairs were banned in all states except Florida, where would you be right now? Not Florida. End of answer. Anywhere on planet Earth other than Florida. If your wife stole your beard and mustache and wore it herself, what would you do? Well, that's simple. I put the boots to her. I literally, just to kind of give you guys some perspective, my wife and I, we have an alarm or like a timer in our bathroom that's mounted on the mirror. I cannot look in the mirror more than 30 seconds. So I have to set a timer, because if I look in the mirror for 31 seconds, I am engorged and I'm like grinding on what do you call the bathroom sink and cabinet and sink. It's all, what I'm saying? There's a name for it. The bathroom unit with the sink and everything. I'm grinding on it like it's a washing machine that's vibrating, because I get entranced with my beauty. That's the thing I struggle with. My beauty. So 30 seconds, 31 seconds, I'm done. So I have to set a timer in order for me to get out in time, because I don't want something bad to happen. Question 3, is water wet? Great question. The answer is no. And yes. You don't really ever touch water. I believe scientifically you don't touch water. I believe something called the Leidenfrost effect. There is a thin layer of air or something along those lines that separates your skin from water. I don't know all the terminology and stuff, but bassinet? I think a bassinet's for babies, Joel. Shit, now it's bothering me. I want to look it up. I want to look this up here. What do you call a bathroom sink and cabinet? Let's see what the internet has to say. A vanity. That's what I was talking about. If I look at myself in the mirror more than 30 seconds, I will try to make love to the vanity. That's the issue I'm running into. Thank you for your participation, because without that, we wouldn't have found that answer. Appreciate you. Great job, everybody. The Leidenfrost effect. I used to do this years ago. I was working at McDonald's as a store manager, but I think this is when I was a store manager over there. I used to prove the Leidenfrost effect. I'd get my hands soaked in water, and then I would put my fingers very fast in the hot grease, which was 380 or 390 degrees or whatever. I go fink, fink, really fast, And what would happen is the grease would burn the layer of water away first before touching my skin. I did not leave my fingers in there. Do not do this. Do not try this at home. But if you're curious, you can look up the Leidenfrost effect or Leidenfrost effect and read about it. It's very interesting. And then question 4 from Deathbad. He has quite a few questions, and I appreciate it. He clearly took this very serious. If oranges are orange, but orange isn't orange, why aren't... Wait up. Let me back up a little bit. Grammatically, his post confused me. If oranges are orange, but orange isn't oranges, then why eat pineapples? I don't know. The answer is 3, I believe. Why do you require so many piss-poor questions? That hurts. That hurts. I'm going to skip that one and act as though I didn't read it out loud. And if you could please act as though you didn't hear it. Thanks, guys. How was your day on the date of 3/17/2014? I believe this would have been prior to the creation of this particular YouTube channel, March 2014. I remember, if I think back, I was doing a great job. Definitely it was a first try. And if memory serves, there were 0 deaths, which is fantastic. Why are you so epic? That's so sweet of you to say, because I'm really good at life. And last one from Deathbat. We need the leaks. What is the epic question? Okay, I will end the lines of questioning with this one, because I have a legitimate answer. The epic question represents a couple of different things. How we got the name. I was discussing this with the professor at the time, who kind of, was pushing for me to do this and start broadcasting, because I enjoyed that stuff while I was in college. And one of the things he mentioned to me was, come up with something that's catchy, a name, and blah, blah, blah. And I thought about it, and I remember saying the epic question. And the concept was, again, for me, the idea of the epic question, what it was supposed to represent was what... And in life, there are a number of different things that we deal with. We have questions about life. We have questions, what happens after we die? Well, everyone has questions, right? And we wanted a platform or something that would talk about anything and everything. And we would look at it as, these were the epic questions. We're going to answer the epic questions. That was kind of the concept behind it. Life is an epic question. Confusion, happiness, sadness. These are all epic things. We don't understand the why behind most things. At the end of the day, we, as a result, are the epic question. So it's this big, profound, nonsensical idea that, and our intention was to answer questions, right? We used to do this on Instagram, on our old Instagram accounts. I think there's a bunch of them that still exist. One is Terrible Animation. There's a few other ones, but we used to go through on Instagram. This isn't like when Instagram first came out, and we would go through on people's profiles and look at the comments, and we would reply to people's comments as if we were the creator, unsolicited responses. Like I did in that YouTube video for Markiplier. I did the same concept there. So we may continue that as we go forward. Anyways, that is kind of the concept behind the epic question. So Deathbat, I understand your questions were somewhat facetious, and I forgive you, and I love you long time. And Snow, just to backtrack, I was being silly. I did not ask you guys for serious questions. I was just making a joke, so no worries. You are in the clear. I was just doing a setup to a joke to make it sound as if everyone was doing me dirty, because I am absolutely hilarious. If you don't know this already, guys, you now know, for those listening, whether it be now or in the future, that I am incredibly funny. And that's good for everybody, especially me. So we're going to transition here. As I said, we have a few different segments I wanted to touch on. And here in just a moment, I'm going to pull the Joel, the Foch, if he's still available, into this discussion with me, because I have some questions as well that I want to address with the Jolly Foch, as he is uniquely qualified to address some of these things. And I want to make sure that these questions get a legit answer, that they're not disrespected, and that, we do a great job. Now, because we're doing this as a stream as well, so there's video For those that are going to be listening to this after the fact, and just the audio side of it, there's going to be video as well on our YouTube channel, The Epic Question. You can go to youtube.com/The Epic Question, or just Google The Epic Question. We should show up. I see that, Joel. Thank you so much, my man. I got you. So let me see. I may add a screen capture on this so it's not just looking at me the entire time. Because granted, I know that's everyone's favorite pastime for the most part is just kind of looking at me. But to kind of spruce things up a little bit. So let's go back 1 second here. Let's pull this up. And I have a question for you guys that I want you to think about. Oh, there's one more question. I'm so sorry. I apologize, guys. I didn't answer this question. Let me go back. Hold on. Okay, here we go. If the Babadook was your father, would you date him? That's an interesting question. There's a lot to unpack there. A lot to unpack. If the Babadook was my father, would I date him? Well, there's a lot of assumptions being made in that question, but we'll push those aside for right now. If the Babadook was my father, would I still date him? So first and foremost, the Babadook, for those that don't know, is a horror character that came out of an Australian horror movie a few years ago. He says, "Ba-ba," and he's in a children's book, and supposedly if you read it, he's all up on your shit, and that's just how it goes. Babadook is handsome, very wealthy, clearly a provider. If the Babadook were my dad, I would rate him probably 3 my dads out of a possible 5 my dads. I don't think I would date him because he's my family and my papa. But if he were not my papa and he was just straight up Babadook, doing Babadook-related activities, then yes, I would date the Babadook, would marry the Babadook. If you had to do a fuck, marry, kill, the Babadook, and Babadook, I'd fuck the Babadook, kill the Babadook, and marry the Babadook. Do you know what I mean? In that order. Or you can even flip-flop it. That's fine. But as long as it kind of falls in line with that, right? As long as we're on the same page. I don't want there to be any confusion about my feelings regarding the Babadook. Does that make sense to nobody and everybody at the same time? Hey, YouTube already flagged my video. How dare you demonetize my video 8 minutes into the stream? That's okay. That's old hat for me at this point. Nothing new there. Okay. So I was talking about this yesterday with some people in the stream, and actually I've been talking about this off and on. I was actually having this discussion with my wife as well. And I know this is kind of old hat at this point. You know, we're kind of past this being a topic amongst the people that's currently being discussed. But I want to weigh in a little bit. I want to weigh in on it a little bit. What was fast, Joel? That was fast. My response? My handsome response? Well, there you go. Hope it was helpful. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on, because again, this is something that kind of passed by already, and I never got a chance to put in my 2 cents and immortalize it in beautifully eloquent words. So I'm going to go through it right now. The Bud Light controversy. This cracks me up. I find this super fascinating. The whole controversy that came out with Anheuser-Busch providing monies to Dilbert Mulvaney or Dylan Mulroney or Dylan Mulvaney, whichever you prefer of those 3 names, they're all fine, to do a sponsored video on TikTok. People, super fast, Joel. Yeah, YouTube hits me quick. But I think it probably has to do with the title, is my guess. Who knows? Anyways, but I requested a manual review, and they can listen to it, which they won't. It's going to be automated or AI, so I don't care. It's all right. It's not like this video is going to make money off of ads anyway, so I'm not stressed about it. But this controversy regarding Bud Light. I want to put in my 2 cents again, even though this is way after the fact and no one's really talking about it anymore. But I want to talk about it, damn it. And then when I bring Joel in, I'll also ask Joel his take on it as well, because I'm very curious about Joel's perspective. But ultimately, what started this whole controversy was images of Bud Light cans that had Dilbert Mulroney's pictures on it. And I know the name is Dylan Mulvaney, but I like saying it wrong. And then people were freaking out, like, how dare you put Dylan Mulroney's face on my Bud Light cans and blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the reality. Those cans were never once distributed to the public. The cans that showed Mulvaney Delbert's images were never once sold to the public. They were not made available to the public. They were promotional images of the cans that were sent. I believe one can was sent to Mr. or Mrs. Mulvaney's whatever place that received packages. And then Dylan, of course, made the video where, Dylan's drinking the Bud Light, and I never watched it. I just watched clips, silent. I had no audio, so I never listened to it. But I've seen people react to this stuff, and it cracks me up because now, here's the funny part. I don't care what side of the aisle you are politically or where you land on this issue. What I find funny is the place that Anheuser-Busch put themselves in. I think any company, any billion-dollar company like Anheuser-Busch has to realize you must tread very lightly when you are dealing with anything that has political ramifications. Now, to play the devil's advocate, I will say this. Nowadays, because people are so unbelievably sensitive, everything seems to have some sort of political ramifications, which is insanely stupid to me. That people can't just take a joke. People take themselves way too serious. They're super, super unbelievably overly sensitive about any number of topics. And that blows my mind. I don't get it. I never will get it. And I refuse to get it. But what I don't refuse is how good I look. JK, LMFAO, those are abbreviations for awesome, modern one-liners and responses. But Anheuser-Busch is in a unique situation in that they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. They screwed themselves because whoever made this decision in their marketing team or sales team, whatever did this with Dylan Mulvaney, they put themselves in a situation where they've now alienated half of their client base, probably more than that. Some took it really far, like Kid Rock saying, "Grandpa's mad, look at me go," and he, shot all the Bud Light cans with his AK or his whatever semi-automatic rifle or automatic rifle, I don't know, and shot all the cans up. That's fine if that's what you want to do. I don't think most people had that type of reaction. The ones that did posted it online, and then, of course, those ones got a spotlight, but that wasn't the majority of people, right, that disagreed with it. They just didn't want their politics in their drunk juice, right? People don't drink Bud Light because they miss the flavor and it takes them back. They want to get drunk. That's why they're drinking. They don't want their politics mixed in with their good time. At least most people don't. Or they just don't want to think about it. They don't want it to have to be a statement. If they go to their local Five and Dime or their local gas station and pick up a case of Bud Light, they don't want to have to defend themselves amongst their peers as to why they acquired Anheuser-Busch's delicious nectar of the yeast gods, okay? They don't want to have to do that. They just want to be able to drink their beer and do their thing. But Anheuser-Busch took it upon themselves to try and do this. Now, again, whether or not they should have, I'm not arguing that. So please be very, very clear for those listening. I am not arguing that they shouldn't have, that what they did was wrong. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have to think about these things, especially as a marketing team. You can look at the last 30 or 40 years of advertising that Anheuser-Busch has done, and they can see what has caused controversy, what was successful, what wasn't successful. Let's continue doing what we know works, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? They had funny commercials, the real man of genius. They had all sorts of funny commercials that caught on that I still remember to this day. And then there's instances, things that fell flat. With all that said, you have a situation now where they made this decision, people were freaking out about it, so now they've backtracked, right? And they put out the most stereotypical pro-America, whatever you want to say, type of commercial, and now the people that you would probably consider to be left-leaning were freaking out, saying, how dare you backtrack? You were supporting this and that, and now you're leaving us, and we hate you, and we're going to boycott you. And the people that are more right-leaning were already boycotting, so now they're stuck in a situation where they've alienated both sides of the aisle. They've alienated not only their customer base, but potentially their new customers, And now they screwed the pooch, try to figure it out. And then Miller Lite, I don't even know what they did. They had some commercial like a year ago that people are now bringing back up. I sent a tweet about feet 10 years ago. Hopefully that doesn't come and resurface itself. I actually made an alternative Twitter account just so I can make stupid jokes for with no fear of reprisal. I made some stupid joke about watching an hour-long commercial about tampons, and then I found out it was an episode of HBO's Girls. I think I saw something like that on Family Guy. I just regurgitated it. It wasn't my original content. But anyways, I did it from an alternative account, so I didn't want to have to deal with people freaking out and whining about stuff. But I just thought that was funny. The Anheuser-Busch situation is interesting. How people take these controversies to the nth degree. They take this stuff so serious, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. What I find funny, and this is going to get a little political. Hopefully I don't offend too many people. I don't care if I do, but don't take it personal. One of the things that I've heard a lot over the last couple of years is that people on the right, more right-leaning people, have a tendency to poke fun at people on the left, and they would call them snowflakes and sensitive and all these different things. Now, you look at what's happening or what happened with Anheuser-Busch and some of these things, and they're acting the same way. They're being unbelievably stupid sensitive. Hey, guess what? I can be a fan of somebody and not be a fan of somebody. When you buy a 12-pack of Bud Light or a case of Bud Light, you're not putting it on your mantle and hanging it on the wall as a showpiece for people to come over. Hey, come on in. Take your shoes off. You see that? That's a 24-pack of Bud Light. I picked that up at Old Man Johnson's Corner Store last Tuesday. What do you think? It's 2023, so you know it's good. Yeah, you see that? It's a little crooked. I didn't get the level out, but come on, Johnson. You're always busting my chops about how I hang my art. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It's so stupid to me. But the flip side of these arguments, oftentimes for me, is that we have some of the most hypocritical opinions I've seen politically recently, more so than I think in my entire life. I've never seen so much hypocrisy on both people from the right and people from the left. This is why I do not subscribe to either parties. I consider myself an independent because I can't. You know, there may be something on the right that I agree with, but as soon as I say that, they do something stupid that I don't agree with, and I'm like, I don't want to subscribe to that. I don't dig that. And the same thing on the left. They're like, oh yeah, I can dig that. I'm on the same page. And then do something else. I'm like, I want no part of that. You know what I mean? So now I'm not affiliated with either political party. I choose my own. And I've dubbed my political party sandwich baggies and Yeti testosterone machines. Yes. Or you can call me Tanner Harvard. My political party. It's called Tanner Harvard. And Grippy Hand. And Clippy. And Computer John. And All-Time Showcase. And Goggles. Plural. With an S. And then another S after that one. To plural the plural. It's important, guys. And, this little lesson for everybody. That if you don't know this, you can pluralize a plural. You just add another S, you goofball. Come on, don't be silly. So if you have a word and you've pluralized it by adding an S, throw on another one. Let's get crazy. Then just plural the plurals. Come on. Who says we can't? Science? You're probably right. Anyways, we're going to dive into a few additional topics here. I want to say thank you to those that have been here so far up to this point. There's not a lot of interaction in the chat, but I've also not afforded you guys much of an opportunity to communicate in the chat. But thank you for being here. As we transition here, I'm going to pull Joel in just a second because we are now going to transition to, I think, everyone's favorite topic of our podcast, which we've never done before, and this is our very first time, but clearly it's everyone's favorite. News. We're going to touch on some news stuff. I thought this was interesting. Odd, stupid, ridiculous, dumb people in the news. Anybody know, I assume many of you know, what deadlifting is? Do you guys know what deadlifting is? It's an exercise, a type of weightlifting. Let me know if you guys know what deadlifting is. For those that are listening to this, deadlifting is basically a weightlifting technique where you pick up a heavy weight or any size weight from a large barbell off the ground. So you bend at the knees, you grab it, and you stand up with it, and you stand up upright. You pull it up to your hips and stand upright. And it engages many, many muscles in the body, including your legs, including your arms, including your back, including your glutes, even your butt cheeks. Not even the muscles, just the cheeks themselves are wiggling and jiggling. It's pure chaos. Absolute pandalirium. Anyways, the reason I bring this to your attention, to clarify and make certain you guys know what deadlifting is. This is the stupidity of our world. Here's the headline. British lifting duo smash record with a 997.5 pound deadlift. Absolutely insane. That is a ton of weight, right? 997.5 pounds. This duo, these two people were able to deadlift this together at the same time. Absolutely amazing. Blows my mind. However, in July of 2022, United States powerlifter Danny Grisby deadlifted 487.5 kilograms or 1,074.8 pounds by himself. He has the world's heaviest deadlift. Why are we celebrating two people deadlifting even less than that? I don't get it. Just a few years ago, Britain, England, already had a world's strongest man who had the deadlift record. Already had it. What the fuck's his name? Hagedorn Extreme Face. Hold on. British world's strongest man. He just boxed somebody. Ah, shit. What's his name? He boxed the mountain from Game of Thrones, Bjorn, whatever his name is. The Beast. Wow, what's his name? Eddie Hall. He had the world record deadlift for Europe. And he had the world record deadlift, but he was from Europe. And then Bjorn beat it, and then this other guy beat it, who I just read. So, again, this is one of those kind of news stories that just cracks me up. Fantastic, these people are absolutely outstanding. But I guess the reason why it stood out as an interesting record, I guess, so here's what it is. A pair of British bodybuilders broke a Guinness World Record when they teamed up to deadlift 997.5 pounds. Married couple Sam Taylor and Sue Taylor Franklin, who previously broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest 20-meter A320 aircraft pull by a team of two, female, originally planned to follow up their feat by tackling the record for the world's heaviest deadlift by a team of two. I'm guessing two females. Let me just double check. Are these females? Are they real females or are they identifying as females? Because nowadays we have to check this. And that's okay, but it makes a difference. Male biology is different than female biology. Bone density is different. There's a lot of things that are different. So I just want to make certain that, because if it's a guy who did this lift and just identified to do the lift, then I'm not interested. Okay, so it is two females. Okay, well, still, I mean, that's a huge thing. But I don't understand breaking records. I guess the record is that two people had the same bar. I guess they did a great job. That's cool. Fair enough. Okay. All right. Next little thing here, and this is what's going to lead me. Joel, are you still here? Joel is still in the chat, so I'm going to jump in there. I'm going to read this to you guys, and this is going to help us transition into the next news story. And we're going to get with our man on the streets, the Jolie the Foch, who is going to really fill us in on what's happening in the world. Be very, very important. There was a... Oh, where's the news? Oh, there it is. Found it. Wait, did I find it? Hold on. No, that wasn't it. Hold on, let me read this. No. Hold on. Stand by. Now, we're going to transition to what I believe everyone's actual favorite topic is. I made a joke about everyone's favorite topic, but I think we're actually going to get into everyone's actual favorite topic, which is Florida news. What's going on in Florida? America's something state. There's a bunch of different stuff here. The woman, you guys saw this recently. There was a woman in Florida who was accused of shooting their neighbor through their front door. She was arrested. Basically, there was a woman, an elderly woman, who had kids running across her yard and making a lot of loud noises and whatnot. So she tried chasing the kids off a couple of times, and one of the kids, you know, when she was yelling, came back, and she used a broom to kind of shoo the kid away and kind of hit the kid a little bit. So then the mother came by to talk to the neighbor. Again, this is, the framing is important, to talk. I don't know the level of aggression. There's no footage I saw of the encounter of this woman who came to confront the homeowner, this elderly person. The only pieces of information we have are the ones I'm going to share with you, at least based to the best of my knowledge. You can research it yourself. But this woman came to the elderly person's porch, came to their door to confront them. Supposedly, from what I understand, the woman may have been yelling but didn't do anything aggressive, and the homeowner shot through her door, shot the lady in the heart and killed her next to her 10-year-old son who was on the porch with her. Now, supposedly, the shooter claimed that they were standing their ground and that they were just defending themselves, that this woman was threatening to break in and was trying to break the door down. Now, I'm not in Florida. This is why we need some, perspective on this very interesting state. But that does not fall under the stand your ground laws within that state. So it's just another sad story. But again, this happens like every 10 minutes in Florida. So it's nothing. If you're from Florida, from my understanding, from my research, Florida has, I think there's a murder. There's 50 murders every 1 second in the state of Florida. I believe there are alligator attacks. There's 56 alligator attacks every 3 minutes in Florida. These statistics I'm trying to do off the top of my head. I believe that there's poisonous rain and poison frogs that come down, because of, the terrible weather. They get swept up, with high winds, and then they come down. They rain on the people, and the frogs in Florida are literally coming down at terminal velocity, like 160 miles an hour, and literally going through people's skulls and just taking people out left and right. This is unique to Florida. This is why we spent the money. We said, you know what? We're a small channel. We don't have any money. We don't have money. We can't do stuff, right? But I said, you know what? I'm not going to let this happen. So we reached in our pockets. We dug deep. And we hired the best newsman in the business, the one, the only, Joey the Foch. We got him on the streets in Florida to really give us the inside scoop as to what's really going on in Florida. So I'm going to go ahead and join this call with Joel, if he's still available in there. Looks like he is. Let me go ahead and jump in there, guys. Give me just a second here. All right, let's see here. I'm going to jump in. That ain't them dogs' real voices. Joe, I may want to do a separate call because I believe people, the reason why I wanted you to DM me is I didn't want people to jump into the call with us. But let's see what happens. All right, Joel, can you hear me? Let me make sure my mic's on. I'm not muted. All right, Joel, I'm in there with you. I don't know. Can you hear me? I might be able to hear you. Let me double check the audio settings real quick. Joel, do me a favor. If you can hear me, can you post something in the YouTube chat letting me know that you hear me, you're responding, but I just don't hear you? Okay, you can hear me, but you're responding, and clearly I'm not hearing you. Is that right? Okay. So Joel is communicating with us, but we're not hearing him. So let me just take a look and switch the audio this way. All right. And Joel. All right. Still not hearing it. That's okay. That's not Joel's fault. All right. Let's see here. Input mode. Voice settings. Let me adjust because it's very possible because we're streaming output device. This should also be my interface speakers. There we go. All right, Joel, test. Interesting. All right, let me see what's going on with the Jolie Foch. Hold up, my babies. All right, I'm going to leave this call, Joel, and come right back. All right, let's do this, Joel. I'm going to give you a separate call if I can. Let's see. What we're doing right now, guys, as I indicated before, you know, our intention is to bring our man on the streets, the Joel, the Foch, in with us here so we can really have this discussion and get to the bottom of it. I think oftentimes people don't realize something, insert awesome one-liners. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. I'm going to call you, Joel. Here we go. Heard something. Let me stop this music. Maybe it's my music that's overpowering it. Joel, are you with us? Yeah, I had to do 14 updates for it to update, Joel. I've just attempted to call you. I started a call. Joel, are you with me here? Are you connected? Wait, say that. Did you say something? All right. Joel, can you hear me? I'm posting in our chat right now just to see if Joel can hear me. Let's see if Joel can hear us. Jolie Foch. He may not be in the call with us. Oh, he's not even in the call. Duh. You're not even in this call with me. Let me try to call you again. All right. And if we have anybody else that's currently here right now, if you want to participate, when we have some questions for the Joel, about some of his findings within Florida. If you want to join the conversation just in general, Snow, if you want to chat it up, let me know. And we can add you to a call as well if you'd like to talk with us. All right, I just ended the call with the Joel. Let me try again here. You know what? Let me do this. Let me come back. Let me try to join the call again. Joel's still in there. Let me join the voice call. All right, so I'm connected. Joel, can we try this again? I see it lighting up, so clearly Joel is talking, but I'm not hearing it. So that's the input device. Let's go to our output device on my end. It should be working here. Let's see. I don't know why I don't hear Joel. It's very odd. Let me try one other variation, Joel, just to test this out. I'm going to call you on Discord again, or rather join this call on Discord but from my phone. And I want to see if I can actually hear you. So hold on a second, gang. I'm now attempting to join the voice call here. All right. I'm now on my phone. Joel. Ah, I hear you now, son of a bitch. Okay, so it's something on my Discord on my PC. All right. Well, give me a second, Jolie. I'm going to try to fix this up right quick. And I will call you right back. All right, brother. Talk to you in a second. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to exit the call on my phone. Or not. There we go. Nope, that isn't it either. There we go. All right, I've exited the call. Snow, when you say sounds good, are you saying you would like to? Am I hearing that right? Let me know. All right. So let's do this. I'm going to relaunch Discord altogether. I've stopped the background music for fear that I may have been... Let's do this. Discord. That I may have been drowning stuff out unknowingly. Alright, so we're launching Discord. So let's take a look. Okay. Alright, perfect, Snow. Give me just a second. Let me address this audio issue real quick. So while I'm addressing this audio issue, because there's nothing more entertaining than listening to a podcast where somebody is troubleshooting something. Now you may ask yourself, Eric, one, why you do such a great job first try, 0 deaths, and so handsome? Okay, it's a valid question. Let me give you 8 seconds to think about it. I hope you thought of your answer. I was attempting, okay, voice and video. Okay, input, output. Okay, input, output, volume. So this is the output. Let's do a mic test. Play back your beautiful voice. Having mic issues? Start a test by saying something fun. We'll play your voice back. Stop testing. Test. Ooh. All right. I don't want push to talk. Automatically determine input sensitivity. If I could do a good job. Camera. I don't care about camera because I'm already on camera. Yeah. All right. Let's try this again. And let's go into the settings of this call. Slow mode. Age strict. No. Video quality. Who cares? User limit. Limits. Okay. Region override. I don't care. All right. Let's escape. Let's join the call. All right. And Snow, if you were on Discord, on the left side where you see the various channels, like Rules to Live By, Chat Chit, Fan Art, God Church Merch, Epic Quotes, and more image sharing, one of them says Voice Channels, That Ain't Them Dogs, Real Voices. Can you see if you can join that? And if not, let me know, and I will send you an invite. And I can't remember what your name was on Discord. Let me backtrack. Joel, I assume you can hear me. I see you lighting up. Why is it not working? I'm very confused, Joel. Okay, Snow is in here with us. Snow, can you say something? I don't... Okay, so do me a favor, guys. I don't hear either one of you. Joel and Snow, I assume you can hear one another. Can one of you guys post in the YouTube chat and tell me if you guys can hear each other on this call? If you'd be so kind. All right. Let me find out what the hell is going on here. You know what? I'm going to do another little test. Let me tinker with this. I'm going to change the settings here. So this is my mic. You hear Snow, Joel? How dare you? Okay, so that's the input. Let me change the output to this. Test, Sipowitz, test. Can someone say something if you haven't already? All right, I don't hear anything. Awesome. Love it. Love it, love it. Now, of course, I said that sarcastically. I really don't love it. All right, let's try this one. I hear you now, Snow. But here's the problem. I can hear you, but you guys are not broadcasting. I can hear you too, Joel, but you guys are not playing through the stream. I have you playing through my speaker. So what I think is probably happening, because I am streaming and using this program, it's basically overriding. It's not allowing me to get the audio to play. Basically, it's the mic. Everything's being used by another program is what I'm basically getting at. That's what I think is happening. So let me figure out a way to link the two together. Yes, that's what I'm in the process of doing. And I'll share my screen with you guys so you can take a look here. All right, let's test this out. Boop-a-da-boop. Okay, I don't hear you. I hear Joel. I'm just changing my settings as I'm going, guys, so bear with me. Just so I can get you on stream. Because that's the fun part, is getting you on stream. All right. So what I may do here, let's try this. Let's go to Properties on my streaming software. Now we're going to change the output to something else. All right, I'm going to try something here. This may be crazy, but it just might work. Or it won't work at all. Hang tight, guys. Output. All right, I got something. Go ahead and say something else for me, guys.
Hello?
All right, so I got you on the stream. Let me just go back and listen. Hold on. Make sure, but there may be some bleed.
Like a game of chicken, back and forth and back and forth.
Oh my god. That's exactly what I say with Mama Frank whenever we're fighting monsters. Go back and forth, back and forth.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Bear with me here. All right, there we go. Got him. All right. I just wanted to make sure that it was coming through on the stream itself. Okay. Anyway, so I have you playing through my speakers. I don't think it's bleeding through in the mic, so it should sound okay. Well, welcome, Jolie Foch and Snow. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, Snow, of course, it's important to get your input as well, but I want to start with Joel, our man on the streets here. And, you know, because I have a lot of scientific questions that I think need answered, and I'm hoping that Joel might be able to, you know, get to the bottom of this. What's going on, Mr. Fallon? Joel, why come Florida not great job?
Well, you know, it's just people are stupid.
Sorry, I busted your chops. Go ahead.
Because all the idiots come here, you know. I don't know why everyone's leaving their states to come to Florida because apparently Florida's better because of Mickey Mouse. I'm like, you say so.
Wait, who's better than Mickey Mouse?
Oh, you know, California, New York, they're all leaving their states to come to Florida for some reason.
Yeah, I've heard that Florida recently has had an uptick as far as population is concerned, and like they're having legit problems. Like everyone seems to be transitioning to Florida, which I will say, not to be rude, I think Florida's the worst state on the planet, and should probably, like, if I had a big enough knife, I would saw it off of the United States and then use my boot and kick it into the ocean. Now, I say that in jest, of course, but it's just, I find it interesting. So many things happen, it seems to be in Florida. It's like, oh my gosh, that 2-year-old baby got eaten by an alligator, and then her mother ate the alligator, and then the dad came, and then the alligator's father came and ate the dad. Where did it happen? Florida. Oh, okay. Hear about that guy that got shot in the legs and then tore off his own skin? Oh, yeah, where'd they happen? Florida. It's like, that's why I bust Florida's chops.
Well, you know, Bugs Bunny did saw Florida one time and kicked to the curb in the cartoon.
Say that again?
Yeah, it happened one time.
Ow.
He took a big saw, he sawed up Florida, and he kicked it out the side.
Yes.
It took a while for them to get it together. Yeah.
Sawing off Florida, I think, you know what, Joel? And I think it's very good. So just somebody that's listening here, Mr. Fallon, who just came into the chat, just so you guys know, we're starting a Kickstarter for Joel to potentially acquire a big enough knife to saw Florida off of the U.S., and then we're going to figure out how we can push it into the ocean. Yeah, it's weird. I've also heard the cost of living, Joel. You fill me in on this, because Mr. Fallon posted something in the chat and says New York has become almost unaffordable in recent years. And I think there's a lot of states moving this direction, especially states like New York, Florida, California. But in Florida, do you know what minimum wage is in Florida? And if you don't know, that's okay, because I can always look it up if you're not sure.
I think it's $11 or $12, maybe.
Okay.
I've lost track, honestly. They always keep changing it, and it's like whenever you get a raise, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter because minimum wages went up, so you're basically making the same as you did before. So it's like you're actually working more than before when minimum wage was lower, and you make less money than back when minimum wage was lower.
Sure, makes sense. It's weird.
Yeah, so you're going backwards instead of forwards.
It's interesting. I've noticed that, yeah, obviously the growth with inflation and everything, obviously wages are not following suit. I Googled it, And according to this, so again, this may not be accurate, but it says 11 per hour. The minimum wage in Florida for 2023 is $11 per hour and will increase to 12. Ooh. September 2023, it is scheduled to increase to 15 per hour by 2026. Okay. It just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. To put this in perspective. Go ahead, Snow, please.
So they're basically getting paid, their minimum wage is $1 less than what our minimum wage is. So technically, if their minimum wage is going up to $12 an hour, our minimum wage is already up to 13. So they're getting paid only $1 less. So they'll, by the time ours goes up, they're only moving up $1 behind us.
Well, you have to think about, and this is what I find interesting with a lot of this stuff, kind of talking about this this kind of concept. So if we look at, I'm gonna pull something up. Average rent in Florida. All right, what is the average rent in Florida? Let's see if we have any guesses. So I'll start with Snow because, of course, Jolie Foch is our resident expert, but that doesn't mean he has every piece of statistical information stored in his head, even though I'm banking on the fact that he does, because, we pay him really good money to be our man on the street. We fly him out to Florida, even though he lives there. We put him up in a 5-star motel. We couldn't afford a hotel. It's called Gary's Inn. But anyways, what do you guys think, Snow? I'll start with you. What do you think the average rent is in Florida in 2023?
Well, considering rent for New York is anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000, that's just an estimate.
Woo!
For New York alone.
Yeah, Florida or New York's no joke.
Is either maybe 1,000 to 1,500, or maybe even more than New York, depending on the area.
I got you.
Yeah, that's true. Depending on the area, depending on if you get a studio or an apartment, and all this, and sometimes their quote unquote low income apartments is over in the 1,500 to 2,000, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be considered the low minimum apartments. I mean, low income apartments. I'm like, yeah, okay.
It's interesting. I know. Go ahead.
Once upon a time, an apartment one bedroom was 500 in some areas, but now it's like 1,000 ish.
It's an insane amount of money. So what I was looking at, according to SoFi, I think that's Samsung's like money bank thing or whatever they got going on. So it says the average cost of living in Florida. It said if you dream of the days, I don't care about that. Okay, so it says Florida residents enjoy the 32nd lowest cost of living in the United States. I did not know that. I thought Florida was in like the top 10 highest cost of living. I had no idea. What is up, 42FY or 42FE on Twitch? So it says, while 32nd place may not seem like much to brag about, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. Rankings. According to the average annual per capita cost in Florida, the average cost of living would require $50,689 per year. And according to this, it says the annual average per capita cost in Florida, housing utilities, this is yearly, is $9,656. So basically $800 a month is what it's saying would be the average rent or housing, not counting healthcare, food, gas, energy, blah, 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 blah. Does that track with your experience, Joel? Does that sound reasonable for you?
That if it's like a, cheap, one bedroom, one bath, studio, even if that, because where I used to live before we moved to our house, it was almost 1,500.
Okay, so in your experience, that is on the very, very low end.
Yeah.
Okay,
Low
gotcha.
End, almost, the ghettos or the worst parts. Orlando's the worst, and some parts, especially downtown Orlando, that area is like, ooh.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. Okay. Now I know for me, I spent most of my life in the state of Ohio, And I know, every state's a little bit different. Then I spent time in Rochester, New York, kind of bounced around a bunch of different places over the years. But I know in the United States, you have like Section 8 housing where, you get discounted rent and discounted, housing and stuff like that based on income and circumstances. What I have a hard time with, and this is why, I always bust Florida's balls, and I'm not trying to, I feel like I'm shoving this conversation in a different direction, which is not my intention. My goal was to talk a lot of shit about Florida. That was my main thing today. I'm just joking around. But every state has its issues. But being the type of man you are, a man on the streets, living the dream, Joey Foch, tearing it up, boot scooting boogie, fancy boots, whatever it is, killing it every day, all day long. What do you find, like when you're out and about, right? When you're working, or you're out shopping, or you're just kind of roaming the streets in Florida, do you feel as though at any second you can be murdered by a crocodile or alligator, a creature, a snake, a spider, anything?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I've actually had encounters with snakes, on the pavement. We've been coming home.
Ooh, okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
we got snakes in the grass. We got alligators living in the rivers, the streams. My cousin lived in a complex where an alligator came to his front porch and just chilled there for a while. And he took a picture of it too. I'm like, you're insane.
it sounds insane. And do me a favor, Snow, I'm going to transition my headphones so I can hear you guys a little bit better because I don't want it to bleed through. While I'm doing this, Snow, can you shed some light on when, and again, whatever your perspective is what I'm curious about. When you think about Florida, what are some of the things that come to mind for you? Like when someone says Florida, what comes to mind? Talk about what you understand Florida to be, good, bad, whatever. I'm very curious what your perspective is, Snow.
Hold on, one second. I got dogs to yell at. You two knock it off right now. I understand you're hungry. I'm getting your food ready right now. Sorry. Home Alone with 5 dogs.
Ooh, 5.
Yeah. I've been to Florida, and that was for my 12th birthday. And in all honesty, I enjoyed it. Besides getting sunburnt to no end.
Oh yeah.
I went to SeaWorld, I went to Disney, and what was the other place? Oh, I even got to go to places, an orange orchard, actually.
In Florida, in the state of Florida, an orchard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That tracks. I believe it. I'll allow it. Continue.
I went to an orange orchard, and it scared it scared the crap out of my sister because they
Wait. What kind of orchard?
It's an orange orchard.
Oh, I thought I'm not trying to be funny. I really thought you said an orgy orchard. I'm like, okay, now we're talking. Let's hear this story. But go ahead.
It might have come off like that because I'm moving stuff around to feed the dogs. But they had literal cages for crocodiles. Like cages that had toys in them.
I believe that. I believe that, yeah.
And that they also had, they told us there was a crocodile in their gift shop type thing. And it was a real crocodile that they had to put down because people would feed the crocodile and you're not supposed to. And in doing so, the crocodile would follow people around and it became a danger. So they had to put it down and they got it taxidermied and put it in the front of the store. So,
just to backtrack just a little bit, who did this? Where did you hear this again?
Guests.
Where? I missed that part of the story.
It was at the orange orchard.
Oh, okay, so that's where you saw it. Now, when you were there, did you witness anybody being murdered by alligators, huge creatures? Okay, because this leads me into something that I think is very important about the Florida Bigfoot. Now, I don't know if you guys are privy to this, but Florida supposedly has a Bigfoot that is in excellent shape. First and foremost, most Bigfoots you see are all furry and crazy looking. Supposedly, the Florida Bigfoot is like 6-pack, butt cheeks are like thick boy stuff, and he can teleport. Now, I don't know if this is true, but Joel, being as though you're from Florida, you're the man on the streets. What do you know of this Bigfoot? Is it real? Is it fake? Are we wasting our time even talking about it? What do you think, Joel?
Well, I thought that was Mickey Mouse. He is pretty big.
Okay. That also checks out. Now, very quickly, as a little transition here, I'm very curious for you, Snow. Joel, are you aware of what's happening in New York with regards to like the air quality and stuff like that? You're aware of it, right? Are you privy to this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little.
Let me do something here. I'm gonna pull something up because I want to kind of get. Do you guys know where it's coming from? I'll kind of fill those in. You guys may be aware already. What were you gonna say, Snow?
It's coming from the Canadian border.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really bad wildfire going on right now that has been going on. I guess my dad told me, he's a firefighter. He told me it's been going on for the last 2 weeks, and it's smoke actually just hit us this week. And there's a lot of people that are complaining of symptoms from the smoke. I know I, for one, had really, really bad headaches yesterday from the smoke, and it didn't go away until late in the evening. And I had another headache today as well from the smoke. Like, it's just so bad, and it's just starting to clear up today, but we are still in a air emergency, so we're not supposed to be doing prolonged exercise outside. People with asthma and any sort of heart condition or breathing condition are told to be staying inside for their own health and safety because of how bad the air quality is.
Absolutely. One of the things that was interesting and what I think makes this so unprecedented, I don't know if everybody understands why this is such a big deal. I pulled up a news story from New York Times, and I'm going to look at it in just a second, but I kind of have it up on screen. It's very small, so if you're looking, you probably can't read it, but I have it as a reference. But basically, what makes part of this so unprecedented is that, in California, for example, we have a lot of wildfires, and it's normal, right? It happens every summer. It happens all year round. We know all about the wildfires. In Canada, wildfires happen, but not this frequently. And they've had a record high, I believe, of wildfires. More so, I think they've had more wildfires in the last, or this particular wildfire. I believe they said usually they have these significant ones like once every 100 years, and they've had multiple. So it has a significant impact on what we're experiencing. But to me, it blows my mind. It just makes things so crazy sounding. The concept that obviously New York butts up against Canada, right? That's no surprise there that smoke out over there. But the sheer, just to put it in perspective, for the fire to be so big in Canada that this air moves through our atmosphere that takes a state like New York and blankets it in fog, it blankets it in potential toxic, noxious smoke, so much so that the governor's like, hey, don't go outside ever until this is all good. Okay, bye. It's serious, and it makes me think about when they talk about like Krakatoa and these old volcanoes and how they basically covered the earth in smoke when they erupted. It just show you the sheer volume and the fact that this fire, which is huge, right? I mean, we're talking, what is like 1 million acres or something that was damaged in this fires in Canada. But it's the concept. It still blows my mind how significant of an impact these fires have had on the states. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to travel even further. I think more states are going to, not as impacted as New York, but I believe there's going to be impacts in other states as well, in my personal opinion.
But Eric, have you heard? Sorry, have you heard of the real life Silent Hill? There is a town like Silent Hill which has an underground coal mine burning to this day.
I'm sure it was based on that. I'm sure there was something that, you know what I mean, they came up with that had that kind of basis. It's wild, man. It's just wild the way these things are set up. It blows my mind.
Marvin, come.
Okay, do your thing. So, welcome, Shay. I see Shay in the chat. Oh, you saying something? Oh, Snow. Oh, okay, no worries. I didn't know because you weren't muted. I didn't know if you were still there or doing something else. You're good. Do your thing.
I was just feeding the dogs. They're chaotic.
I gotcha. No worries. Well, with that, I'm going to kind of transition over into another topic here real quick. Actually, before I do that, Joel, I appreciate you sharing and shedding some light on Florida. But just again, to put things in perspective, I'm going to do this. I'm going to Google Florida news. I'm just going to Google it. And then I'm going to talk about the 3 stories that come up. It's one story, 3 different times apparently. Florida woman appears in court after arrest. So this is the story I was telling you about where the elderly woman shot the lady through her door. Let's see. Trump documents. Florida grand jury involved in Trump. Cost of latest migrants. Okay, that's not fun to me. Burmese python help cotton rats thrive in Florida. Everglades study. So, Joel, what's the deal with that? Why are these Burmese pythons helping cotton rats thrive so much in Florida Everglades? You know, there's a study about it, but I'm curious of what Joel's perspective is.
I mean, they're supposed to eat them. I don't know why. I mean, snakes are supposed to eat the rats, so I don't know why they're helping them for.
Joel,
it blows my mind, actually.
You're out of control. You're a madman. We've established this many, many times prior to this. I forgive you.
Oh,
Thank you for forgiving me. Yeah, Florida's one of those states where I feel like, you know, oh, that guy got his face eaten off. Where did it happen? Florida. Like, you always hear these crazy stories out of Florida. And, you know, and I know you being a Floridian, obviously, and you said it yourself before we got on this podcast, you're like, Florida sucks. I hate Florida. I'm like, Joel, don't say that. Don't speak that way about Florida. You love Florida. You said, I hate Florida. It's the worst. People are eating everybody's faces. And I'm like, okay, man, that's on you. So I didn't want to out your business. I don't want anybody to know what you said to me privately. That's between you and me, okay? I won't tell anybody.
Well, like Snow said, you know, people feeding the alligators, that's just, you know, natural selection right there. You know, if you feed the alligators as opposed to, and they bite your hand off or your face off, then that's on you.
Exactly right.
Even the Game Salmon did a try not to laugh with 2 videos of people feeding the alligator, and the alligator went and bit him, and Sam's like, must be in Florida. I'm like, yeah, Sam, it was in Florida, actually, because people are, I guess, that stupid. Like, oh, touch the alligator. Let me stroke its tail. Let me feed it.
Mm-hmm.
The alligator comes and bites her arms off, and it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have done that. No.
Absolutely insane. And Shay said something in the chat. She goes, as someone who lives in Florida, Florida is literally a diet Australia. Minus, I would agree with that, Shay, and we'll get Joel's perspective as he's from Florida as well, but I will say this. I agree with that, minus all the face eating and people fighting in the streets with sticks. And, you know, I posted a video on YouTube of a guy in Florida beating up another guy with a python. He was using the python as a weapon, and I posted the video on my channel on one of our YouTube shorts, so, you know, that's Florida. Ms. Fallon says, I tried to stay inside for most of the past few days. Okay. But again, I want to kind of transition over, and I'm not trying to drum up controversy, but I'm genuinely curious. And by the way, Joel, I know you were paid up to provide information among about many, many states, but I think all I was interested in was Florida. So thank you for doing all the other research and the weeks and weeks you've been studying and going around the country interviewing all these fine people from these beautiful states. But I have no other questions about that.
Okay.
Clearly, Joel did not do any of that stuff, but we're funny here, guys. We like to have a good time. Anyways.
People here can't drive to fatal. People drive like madmen here.
That's right.
People, they will cut you off. They will, you know, try and they won't do their turn signals. They're speeding. It's like, it's not a game. This isn't Grand Theft Auto, Gran Turismo. You know,
Sure.
You crash, you don't respawn, but people just don't give a damn here.
People are nuts.
My friend.
That's everywhere.
My friend's like, oh, I'm gonna leave Florida because people don't know how to drive here. I'm like, that's everywhere. Florida specifically is one of the worst. Like, every day I go at work and see an accident of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
an accident or a pile up or somebody tried to go up the curb and ended up, flipping their car over a few times. And I'm like, people, know how to drive. Wear a seatbelt, please. This is a game. It's not that hard.
Mm-hmm. It can be crazy. I mean, every state I think has its own, road rage and things happening. I think is very commonplace. Sadly, in this day and age, I think people are just bad at life.
Too much road rage. Too much.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no doubt about it.
A lot of it in New York, I can tell you that much.
Oh, I'm sure. I live out in the boonies myself, and people carrying around rifles. I mean, weaponry with them all the time. Like, it's very commonplace to walk into a local store and see guns hanging off of people in my neck of the woods. Okay, just to kind of put it in perspective. But with all that said, I have no problem with that. That's how I want to live. It's how I want to live. But I want to circle back to something I kind of brought up earlier, and I want to kind of get your guys' opinion on it. And again, I'm not looking to drum up controversy or anything along those lines, but let's talk about religion and politics for a second. I'm just joking. Just being funny. It's just a joke. But no, I'm very curious. So, did you guys see the news about Twitch that just came out in the last 48 hours? They're talking about with Twitch. Did you hear about what happened?
Which one? There's not a lot of things on Twitch.
The Twitch. So Twitch put out the statement about the sponsorships and basically their policy changes in the last 48 hours. Did you hear about the Twitch policy changes?
I mean, policy changes happen all the time, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that I'm bringing it up may lead you to believe that maybe there's something going on. So I'll kind of fill you in on the gaps to kind of put it in perspective. Right now, Twitch is running into some difficulties because of competition, right? Streaming is very big on YouTube as well. Twitch was the biggest. Now you have Kick and Rumble that are really starting to make a name for themselves in the streaming. I'm sorry?
You also have TikTok.
TikTok as well, but as far as gaming and stuff, what I'm getting at is in with regards to the monetization side of things. So TikTok is huge for streaming, but there's no monetization set up for a streamer unless they have sponsorships or brand deals, etc. Where the controversy is coming from is that Twitch released a statement. I'm going to give you a super condensed version of it. Basically, what they're saying is that now, if you have any ads, right, or let's say you have a sponsored video, one, you cannot have any burned-in segments. So what they mean by that is, let's say one of our streams we're playing, and I get sponsored from Pepsi, and Pepsi goes, "Hey, we want you to mention Pepsi and do Pepsi." You don't even watch a YouTube video, and they'll be like, "And now a word from our sponsor." Then it'll cut to a pre-recorded segment where they're talking about the product. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Snow? Have you seen stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
So,
the time.
right, it's very, very common, right? So Twitch now says that you can't do that anymore. So that can't exist. So people go, okay, not the end of the world. It sucks, but it's kind of weird because, we have to meet certain criteria with these sponsorship deals or whatever. And Twitch has now stated that in order for you to have these sponsorships, it has to go through Twitch. So prior, or else it can't be on the video or streams at all. So in other words, if let's say I have, on Twitch specifically, I have subscribers like sponsors, people that pay money, there's a split, basically 60-40. 60 to Twitch, 40 to the creator. Then if you have a sponsorship, that's between me and the sponsor. Twitch has nothing to do with that, and then of course I hawk the sponsor during the stream. Well, now what Twitch is saying is you can't do that. It has to go through Twitch, so Twitch can take a cut of your sponsorship or brand deals. So people started freaking out, this is insane. Twitch is overstepping. No other platform has ever done this. Blah, 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 blah. So then Twitch came out and said, "Oh, we're so sorry if you misunderstood our post. Our language wasn't clear. Blah, 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 blah." But basically, they updated their ad roll policy, and it was a really big deal. Every single top creator said, "I'm leaving Twitch. I'm going to YouTube. I'm doing this. I'm doing that." But this was their actual statement. So I'll fill you guys in on this, and then I'll kind of get your opinions on it and see what you think, if anything. So Twitch officially reversed the course. They set out for this branded content guidelines update. Let's see what it shows here. I'm going back. I want to go to the original one. Where is the original statement? Original. Okay, here we go. On Tuesday, Twitch released their new branded content guidelines, as well as a new tool that will allow people to report on branded content. So this would have taken effect as of July. The guidelines would have restricted creators' ability to advertise on their own streams, including no longer allowing creators to insert burned-in video ads. And as we talked about, it's ads that creators can put directly in their stream. And then they said they proposed guidelines that included other changes like a size limitation for on-stream brand logos, so that they couldn't take up more than 3% of the screen size. Like, here's something stupid. If I have a brand deal and let's say I'm Game of Thrones and they sponsor me, I can only have them an image of Game of Thrones so big it can't be more than 3% of the size of my screen. It's just like stupid stuff. So people are freaking out. They're like, sponsorships are a huge deal, especially for large creators. So Twitch, after everybody freaking out, they officially reversed course on this whole new guideline change. And they're quoted as saying, "These guidelines are bad for you and bad for Twitch, and we are removing them immediately." So their actual tweet said, "Yesterday, we released new branded content guidelines that impacted your ability to work with your sponsors to increase your income from streaming. These guidelines are bad for you and bad for Twitch, and we are removing them immediately." Again, I know there's not a whole lot to add to that, but I'm just curious what you guys think. Do you think this announcement that they retracted, right, within 24 hours, do you believe that this is going to have any long-term impact on Twitch as a whole, or do you think it's going to be same old, nothing's going to change?
I mean, is it like Streamlabs? I mean, Super Chat? Every time you donate, YouTube gets a cut? Or was it bigger than that?
Say it one more time.
Is it like Super Chat? Like whenever someone donates, YouTube gets a cut of that donation?
Yes, YouTube takes a cut of Super Chats. Every platform takes a cut. Twitch takes the biggest cut of any platform, but this is saying, hey, not only are they taking a cut from the donations, but now they're saying if I acquired a sponsor, had nothing to do with Twitch, I got an email that said, "Hey, we like your stuff. We'd love to sponsor. Can you put us in a video so we can do this, do that?" Now Twitch is, what they were saying was they put a bunch of restrictions on your ability to do that, and then two, they would have ended up taking a cut of it because of how they needed it configured. So I don't know if that answers your question, but everybody takes a cut. But this was specific to sponsorships.
I think it's stupid.
What do you think, Sto? Go. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, guys.
It's like I don't understand why it's that big of a cut. I mean, don't they have so much money to begin with? Why do they need that much more money? Ridiculous.
What were you gonna say, Snow?
I have to agree, because if you think about it, they're already taking a cut from you using their service and getting sponsorships from using their service, and then people donating to you to gain sponsors. They're taking, that's like 50% of the cut that they're getting just from you using their service and people donating to you and your sponsorships. They don't need to be taking any more than they already are.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not fair. And honestly, I don't blame the people. I used to do streaming, like a long time ago on Twitch. And
Sure.
I wasn't any good, so.
No, but I get it. I mean, you get the concept of it, right? I mean, you understand the basic stuff of it. Sure. I'm with you.
My brother did streaming too sometimes, and he was actually very close to being acquitted to it, and almost being paid by them.
Sure.
But like I said, he stopped because he was having issues as well with things not going as well. He wasn't getting anybody watching him, so on and so forth. So like a lot of the small people who are getting sponsorships, who are just starting to rack up people coming into their streams, rack up some money coming in, are probably the ones that are getting hit the hardest by if they continue to implement that rule.
Oh, for sure. Because at the end of the day, what'll end up happening, and again, even for larger creators, there's an old adage, but it's very true, especially for creators nowadays, is you don't want to put all your eggs. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying, Snow?
Oh, sorry. I'm I'm making cookies for my mom. I'm making the batter for my mom so she can bake them.
Oh.
So I have the recipe up on my computer while I'm talking. So.
Okay, no worries. No worries. Hey, you're good. You're good. If you need privacy, you can mute yourself. You're good. I don't want to talk over you or say something to your mom. If you're talking to somebody else, you're fine. Do whatever you got to do. No worries.
Oh, there's nobody home. It's just me.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. But I wanted to backtrack real quick to answer one of your questions that you said. So basically, the way they have it structured, Twitch takes the biggest cut from sponsorships. So basically, like, what I mean by that is when I say sponsorships, YouTube calls them memberships, Twitch calls them subscribers, but basically, you know, people that pay to have a connection to the community in some way. So YouTube takes 30%. So let's say, for example, you know, you did our biggest tiered membership on our channel, which is $10. That would mean YouTube would take $3 out of that monthly membership. Twitch takes 50% of all of them. That's just your memberships, or your sponsors, the community people. And YouTube's cut is, you know, people were like, well, that's pretty high. Twitch takes 50%. Places like Rumble and all these other platforms that take much, much, much less. It's like an 80-20, 90-10 split. But they're also trying to get their feet off the ground. So Twitch needs to be careful because what they're doing is they're pushing people to YouTube. And on top of that, not only are they pushing people to YouTube, if a larger creator, obviously we have a very small channel, a very small community. But let's say I'm somebody like, you know, a Dr. Disrespect or something. He could very easily stream to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, you know what I mean, Kick, all these platforms at the same time and blow up. So if two of them, YouTube and Twitch, disappear, he still has massive audiences on these other platforms. So it really differs, and I don't know. It's not a good look. But like Mr. Fallon said, most critical, let's see, also talked about it and how the Twitch partner, you won't be able to stream on other platforms. Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane, which blows my... What's happening, Mr. Fallon, is just like we talked about. They're putting themselves in a situation where they realize that they are no longer the king of streaming, that other platforms are not only coming up, but they make it very easy. Like YouTube. I like YouTube's interface way better than Twitch. But I do like the fact that I can stream on multiple platforms. God forbid, if something were to happen, I have some semblance of an audience somewhere else where I could potentially transition. That is my big concern, is if one goes, that I have something else. But all that said, guys, you know, as we kind of close this out, you know, this particular podcast, this specific one was more freeform. I didn't have a strong outline, like I probably should have. Live, like we ran into technical issues, stuff happens. Probably not the best way to approach it, but I may do a few of them. I don't know if I'll do every podcast live, but I know I will probably continue to do them. I'm going to try working out a bit of a stronger outline so when we hit these topics, because there's some stuff I did want to talk about that we didn't get to, which is totally fine. You guys had nothing to do with that. That's just my poor planning. And as you guys get to know me more and more, because I feel like when these podcasts and things, we're going to have more conversations and reveal more about me, learn more about you guys. And I think it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can make of it. But yeah, for sure. I want to say thank you, Joel, of course, for joining me here. I know we didn't get a huge chunk of time on this together. And I'm going to work with the audio stuff because I don't like the fact that I'm listening to you through the speakers of my monitor rather than my headphones. And the same thing with Snow, because the audio through my encoder, my program, my Streamlabs is using my interface, so it won't let me two programs use the same thing. It's stupid. Whatever. But thank you, Snow, as well. What's that, Joel?
Trust me, whenever my friend would stream before, I would join the general chat and she would put me into her streaming chat. But then lately, since Discord had an update, she couldn't do that anymore. So they had to make me a part of like a channel, like a member, so I could just join the streaming chat whenever I want, because Discord was just being stupid. It was having issues. It wouldn't connect. And yeah, it was insane. So.
It's silly. And what's funny is there's multiple ways to potentially go about it, but the way Discord structures the program on PC, at least in my experience, is they run it like it's an encoder. Instead of just like, if I went in and played a YouTube video, the audio, I can easily play it through stream because it's running through the system. It's no problem. But the way Discord does it is they're treating it like it's its own separate software, which technically it is. It's a separate program, but the way they have it structured, it causes problems. Anyways, that's technical jargon. I'm not getting into it right now because I have to wrap up, but I understand. I do understand, and we're going to work on some solutions to that. But again, Joel, I appreciate it. And Snow, the same thing. I know we didn't get into a huge discussion. I know it wasn't some huge thought-provoking thing, but I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on this call as well. It means a lot.
So quite an interesting conversation. Believe me, probably one of the most actual, real conversations somebody can have on a podcast.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And it's going to continue. You know, we're going to continue. There's going to be times where there's topics that may not be the most entertaining, but, you know, it's stuff that needs to be talked about, or it might be something that's on my mind. You know, there's a lot of stuff in my mind that I talk about that probably isn't the most popular, but I think it's important. You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to talk about stuff. But
I agree.
With all that said, again, I appreciate you, Snow and Jellyfish. Thank you for kicking it with me during this podcast. I'm going to wrap things up for this evening, and then we'll kind of chat a little bit about what the upcoming plans are. But thank you both again for being a part of this. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Thank you. Of course. Wonderful. I'm going to kick out of this call myself as we wrap up this podcast. I didn't want you guys to think I just dipped on you, so I'm just giving you a heads up.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you guys. All right, guys. Now, as I kind of touched on, you know, this is a kind of a dry run on this podcast, right? Trying to get to the bottom of, not necessarily the bottom of it, but trying to get a sense of how to do it. I'm new to the podcasting space myself. This is literally the very first time, and we're not even broadcasting as a podcast yet. This is a stream that I then have to convert and make a podcast out of. So that remains to be seen. I'm going to have to do some editing because of the technical issues and stuff, so we'll see exactly how it all unfolds. But I'm very happy. We broke the ice, the inaugural episode of the Epic Question Podcast. What did we talk about? I don't know. What did we cover? I don't know. A bunch of nonsense, bunch of shimmy jams. I don't know. But I'm going to tinker with it. I'm going to listen to the audio after the fact. I'm going to listen to and watch the video after the fact. Do what I can with what I got. But again, guys, thank you so much for participating in this. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you a great deal. It means the world to me. As it stands right now, we'll probably start small with at least one podcast a week. And depending on, the analytics, the activity on Spotify and Anchor and stuff like that, we'll see what we're going to do with it going forward. But again, Shay, Mr. Fallon, Jolly Foch, Stowe, everyone that swung on through, I appreciate you. And just so you guys know, too, I have no problem incorporating you guys into discussions. Granted, I may not keep you on mic for the duration of the podcast, so just keep that in mind. I don't want you to feel like, oh, you didn't put me on. Not trying to throw shade, it just there's certain things I need to cover, and then when it comes up for the open discussion, I can bring you guys in. So thank you, again, for participating in that. I know you didn't have to, so it means a lot. With all that said, guys, I don't know how else to end the podcast. So I'll end it like I do any other stream. I'm 95,000, a bucket of kid. You guys stay epic. I'll stay Eric. I will see you or talk to you in the next video and or stream and or podcast and or whatever. Bye forever. Love you long time. See you, man. Bye. Do. You don't hear this because I changed all my sound settings. There we go. I think I fixed it. All right. Oh, you love it. I love it. All right, guys, for real. Bye.